You're watching TelecomTV's exclusive video coverage of the MEF annual members meeting here in Vancouver. And I'm joined now by Ari Goldberg, who is the CEO of Omnitron Systems Technology. Ari, thanks very much for speaking with TelecomTV this morning.
Thank you for having me.
First question I'd like to ask is about the issues that face the industry at the moment, and specifically the MEF. What does the MEF and its members, what do they need to be addressing to help the industry?
Well, right now you have all of those disruptive technologies that are coming about, SDN and NFV. All of those new technologies kind of create chaos and opportunities, of course. Part of the mission of the MEF now is to really align its own message with those other organizations, but not just the message, also the models that are being used and the languages, and make sure that we are all playing out of the same hymn book, so to speak. Otherwise, you end up with this, city of Babel where everybody's talking different languages will cause inefficiency and chaos in the industry. It's just not productive. So the best course that the MEF can do is work hard with those other standard organizations, align the models, align the API, the application programming languages, make sure that everybody is just working from the same standard, and it will give us some efficiency in the industry.
Great. We talk a lot about virtualization. You mentioned NFV, the network functions virtualization, fits in with SDN. This potpourri of acronyms we're dealing with. When we look at virtualization, its functions and services we tend to talk a lot about, but what about the network interface devices? Can those also be virtualized?
Well, that's an interesting question because some functions of network interface devices can be. Always the way I look at things is follow the money trail. Certain functions can be virtualized, such as the firewalls, all of the typical suspect firewalls and routing functions. They can be brought onto the data center virtualized. Certain functions will be very difficult to replace. Performance monitoring, at the end of the day, customers, users need to know what the performance is that they're getting, and that function will be very difficult to replace, if not impossible. So you will have equipment that will need to continue monitor the performance all the way down to the customer premises. Just leaving a tail of fiber that could be 1 kilometer or 10 kilometers long, which is not monitored, is just asking for trouble and disruption of service that is kind of left undetected for a while, and very unhappy customers potentially.
So who benefits from virtualization of these functions? Is it the operator, the service provider, or is it their customers?
Well, again, follow the money trail. User will benefit because certain functions, they don't need to worry about upgrading equipment as technology changes. And the service operator can provide those functions, again, firewalls, routing, etc., and they can provide those functions and charge for them. They can maintain them much more efficiently than a user would, and everybody benefits.
How does this all then fit with the MEF's vision, this new model they're developing, the third network?
It's all about dynamic services, getting services quick, deployed, on demand, and it actually, because of the added or improved efficiency, it enables deployment of those services basically on a dime, from demand for service, whether it's from some sort of portal that the customer is asking for, or maybe some Internet of Things type of equipment that demands service. It will be able to orchestrate that service, and all the way down to network interface devices set up for performance monitoring after the network has been properly orchestrated, and there we go.
For all this to happen, we have to have standards in place, we have to have compliance and certification.
Absolutely.
Where are we with say, the certification of these services?
Interesting. The large providers pretty much are well aligned behind the certification process worldwide. Most of the majors, whether it's in the United States or Europe or Asia, have gone through certification or are going through certification. I think the problem is left with some of the second, third tier type of operators, the urban operators or the rural operators that are too small in a way to join the Metro Ethernet Forum and participate in the certification process. I think there are a couple of initiatives right now that are going on, the Ethernet Interconnection Point Initiative and the Service Interconnection Program that will enable smaller operators to get certified without becoming members, setting up some common implementation standards and the recommendations how to actually interconnect between smaller operators and the bigger operators. I think that will take us a long way toward full certification and having efficient networks.
And these are two projects that are just being developed now, are they?
I think the release had been around April this year, so it's just been kicked off. There's interoperability going on at the University of New Hampshire. I think it's quite a interesting and good initiative that will improve the landscape quite a bit.
Now, as the industry gathers again in November in Dallas for the Gen 15 event, what do you think are going to be the main talking points? What is it that the industry is going to be focused on?
Virtualization, 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 I think. That's the hot topic, all of this understanding. I think there's still a lot of interpretation. What does it mean? What does this life cycle mean of the services? How do all of those players play together nicely, hopefully? That will be an interesting topic. My company, Omnitron, for instance, we will be demonstrating at the Gen 15 a proof of concept where we are using many of the SDN capabilities to show service on demand. From all the way from a customer portal where a customer places an order to system orchestration immediately, testing of the infrastructure, provisioning of the circuit, release to production, and immediately go into monitoring of the circuit and the ability to report any kind of faults or performance issues.
We seem to be seeing a lot more proofs of concept within the industry coming out and year after year. How important are these POCs for the development of new technologies and services?
I think we all learn from those proof of concept more than we expect, because you have oftentimes, and MEF is very good at that, combining the efforts of multiple companies. So there's the aspect of interoperability, but you also get meeting of minds of different people that think about the same problem different ways, and you find that the concept you had sometimes is not the concept that somebody else had. So there's this pollination of ideas, and we learn a lot. We find where the systems are broken, and it's a good opportunity to fix things. So whether those are deficiencies in standards or just interpretation of standards. You can read the same line in a standard and interpret it 3 different ways. So we find that all of those interoperability fests, so to speak, and different proof of concept projects are quite productive, and they teach us a lot of stuff, and they give us ideas on where to go from there.
Well, we look forward to seeing more at Gen 15. Until then, Ari, thank you very much indeed.
It's been a pleasure.